The Islamic State has established in the Iraqi city of Mosul, and since June 2014, they claim to have conquered an ultimate territory for the Arabian countries of Syria and Iraq. They have imposed governance and control over 2 million people. The International Committee of US has decided to intervene. Mosul could be a turning point in the American-led fight against the Islamic State, says the New York Times. The group ISIS hate the most is the famous religious group called the Yazidis. The main reason of their intolerance for them is caused by the Muslim belief of this religion to be off the book. On the other hand, the Quran recognizes other religion groups such as Christians and Jews, which is the main reason why they respect them. ISIS has focused on capturing, torturing and killing Yazidis in order to eradicate that type of beliefs.
ISIS has suddenly ceased referring to Mosul as the capital of its caliphate through its news media outlets to possibly influence public perceptions about the imminent liberation of Mosul, according to the Iraqi satellite Al-Sumaria. The mass speech of ISIS started to focus on war taboos, saying that the fall of Mosul is not the end of the battle, by listing comparable situations in Islamic history, how Muslims suffer many losses before achieving grand victories. Al-Sumaria added,
"One lesson US should have learned in the Iraq and Afghanistan wars over the last 15 years is that unless governments decrease corruption, calm sectarian divisions, integrate all groups into the political process, and deliver services to their citizens, extremists are sure to rise again." The Americans have already negotiated and elaborated a battlefield plan with the Iraqis that is designed in part to avoid most sectarian conflicts. As ISIL is armed by US Army, Iraq, and the Syrian army are empowered by Russian army, this makes this situation an interest conflict. Two of the most powerful nations are trying to stabilize the country with their government methodology and looking forward to gain power in the Middle East. Plus, Mosul is the last ISIS city, but the tension of the post-war problem is made by three main factors: ungovernability, American-Iraqi coalition momentum, and the opposition forces of Kurdish Peshmerga and Shia militia.
Iraqi media outlet also explained that the significant changes in the speech of the Islamic State were made in order to prepare the public opinion for the near liberation of the city of Mosul by the joint security forces and raise the morale of its fighters and supporters in the remaining strongholds of the group, whether in Anbar of Salahuddin.
BBC report explains geographically the intervention of the different armies mediating the operation.
The report is focused on religious conflicts. It does not consider the position of US and Russia.
The text explains how these two major nations are helping internal problems in Syria, but the issues are against each other.
It's not literally mentioned, but it makes you reflect about the consequences of the intervention of US and Russian armies.
Despite that report does not mention any type of economical interest conflict, it highlights the conflict between two different religions, caused by the lack of tolerance reflected from ISIS on other beliefs.
Can be deducted that the main economical reason of USA and Russia helping opposition armies is to gain power and the control of the country.
BBC report doesn't even mention the main reason why ISIS is controlling Mosul. They just reflects about the consequences of their presence and the measures that are being taken to decrease ISIS power and governance.
New York Times do not mention the religion internal problems of the country and how ISIS work in this topic.
This is the main idea of the report. It explains the reasons why ISIS hates the Yazidi group that much. It either explains the situation the Yazidi people is living in Syria.
It continuously affirms that there is an incredible risk of the rebels arising after US winning the war, only if they does not know how to solve sectarian problems and achieve the inclusion of the society on the political rebuilding process.
CNN report shows the possible situations Yazidi group would live if ISIS continues chasing them.
The stabilization of the country can be a factor of risk for the USA and Russia because both are looking forward to gain power and control of the Middle East.
They remain quite skeptical about US or Russia gaining control over Mosul. Nevertheless, the rebuilding process is going to be an expensive one, and is sure that oil wells are going to be the sponsor.
Though the New York Times do not speak about how it will be rebuilt, but it says that the war has already derived many lives and destruction of entire cities.
The report does not mention a possible plan of rebuilding a shattered city. It only mentions the consequences the Yazidi people is living.
As a conclusion, the war for the city of Mosul can lead to different outcomes, from causing a third world war to the complete destruction of the city and the eradication of different religious groups.
The consequences of the war are always imminent. Devastated city, economical and political order removal, and the inclusion of the more globalized society in the Middle East were the first objectives of the Occident. But the permanent disapproval of different cultures and beliefs will always impede.